Let's do it for the PHP MySQL interaction. Over here, first of all, we'll create a MySQL demo folder inside the practice folder. We'll go into the MySQL demo folder. I have copied the file MySQL library over here because this file will be generic whenever you will be creating a project with PHP MySQL. This file will always be there. So what you can do is you can just copy this file from the DVD and paste it to your MySQL demo folder. I'll open the file and show you what you have to change over here. Inside this, the connection server is localhost, that's for sure. The database name is DBF students, but in our case, the database name was DBF student information. So I'll just change this thing to DBF student information. As you can see over here, the name of database is student information. So that name has to be matching over here. And the username of our server is root with no password. So I'm not passing any password over here. If you want and you have a password with your server, you can just pass a password over here. But in our case, there is no password. The MySQL connect function will connect to this server with this username password. And when the connection is set, out of this local host, we'll be selecting the database, which is the DBF student information database. And we'll store that reference inside the DB object. Once we are done with that, we will have the execute query method. The execute query method will take in a query. We'll check if you have the connection and you have the database selected, and it will just query the database with the query to fire, and whatever ID it gets from the database, it will return you that ID. The search database function will have the query to fire. Whatever query you are firing will be fired on the MySQL database, and out of that query you'll get a result set. You will go to each array of the result set by saying MySQL fetch array. It will give you one row at a time from the complete array. You'll get that row and you will put that row inside an output variable. In the slides you might be having an output column over here, but that is not required. If you have this thing, that will not give you the output. You have to just have a output of count equals to row. This will indicate that for each output or for each row, store this row in the output variable and increment the count when you get a new row. And when all the rows are fetched, you will just return the output. And when you will be calling this search database, you will be getting all the rows from the output. Then you have a MySQL end function. It will end your complete connection. So far so good. Let's create a new index.php file. I'll just have a PHP tag and a closing PHP tag. I'll have this file inside the MySQL demo folder. I'll give the name as index.php. Now let's see what will be the functionality of this. I'll just write the functionality in terms of comments. Step 1 should be, just write that thing inside the PHP part. I'll have step 1, user should be given a login or sign up page. Step 2, once the user gives the username and password, this must be checked. Let's say step 3, if the user credentials are fine, we must show him his records. That is, if you are given the right name and right password, then all the records of the user must be shown to him, else they must not be shown. Now this slide or this let's do it section is a bit longer one, so I'll prefer if you pay the complete attention over here. So let's concentrate on step 1. We must give the user a login or sign up page. So let's give a form over here. Let's give the action of the form as index.php itself. And let me give the method of the form as post, because we'll be having the post request over here. In the form, we'll be having the username, that can be, say, input, type equals to text, ID equals to txt name, name equals to txt name. We'll have a br/tag, then we'll be having a password. To have a password, you have to type input, type equals to password, ID equals to txt password, name equals to txt password, and then a br/. I'll have over here something called as input, type equals to submit, and let me give name of this button as btn login, ID of it as btn login, and value of it as login. Then I have a br/tag. Copy this thing up. I'll have btn submit, or let me give btn sign up over here so that it makes sense. Then we'll have again a sign up, and we'll have a sign up as well over here. And whenever I'm coming to the PHP part, I'll just check if size of the $_post array was more than 0, then I'll just print that array out, print _r $_post. Let's come to our MySQL demo in the browser. I go to localhost and go to practice. Like this, we have MySQL demo. As you can see, we have the username password. I'll give the username as Ashwin and some password. As you can see, the password is in a masked character. This is because we have kept the type of this as password. If you would have kept it as text, then you would have got the password as a text as well. If I click on login, as you can see, when I clicked on login, the post array was printed. The post array has 3 variables: txt name, txt password, and btn login. Because I clicked on login, I got the login variable. If I'll click on sign up, I'll get the sign up variable. So with this, we will be able to appreciate that in the PHP code, we have to first check for the presence of sign up or login. If login is present, then we have to log in the user. If sign up is present, then we have to sign the user up. Okay, so let's do it and check out what should be the output of this. If I'll first check out for the sign up part, in the sign up part, we'll be requiring all the fields for the user. So let me just tell that thing to you. We have PHP myadmin. We will get over here dbf student information. I have TBL students. So we have to give him the age, contact, address, other information. So what I'll do is I'll just add this information below the form. Over here, I will say we will require the age of the person by saying input, type equals to text, ID equals to txt age, and I'll again get the name equals to txt age. I'll give a br/ over here. Then let me copy this thing up for I have contact, address, and other information. So I have contact, address, other information. Let me have a contact over here. I have the address over here, and I have the other information over here. I'll get txt contact, copy it and paste it over here. We have txt address, copy it and paste it over here. Then we have txt other information, copy it and paste it over here. So now if we'll refresh the form, we'll be able to get all the fields one below the other. If someone is signing up, he has to fill all the fields. If someone is logging in, then we will get all the fields from the form and put those fields over here. Okay, let's see how do we do that. In the form, first of all, we'll be checking if login was pressed or sign up was pressed. So I will say if is set $_post, say btn sign up. If sign up was pressed, then you have to create the query to insert all the records of the student inside the database. For that, I'll get first the name of the student by saying $_post and txt name. I will get the password of the student by saying $_post txt password, as you'll be able to see that whatever ID we have given over here is that ID we are getting in the post request. Then let me give age, I'll just say $age equals to $_post. What is the ID of the age? It is txt age, so I'll give txt age over here. Then we have contact as $_post txt contact. Then we have address as $_post txt address. Then we have other information equals to $_post. Let me say, copy this thing completely from here and paste it over here so that we don't get a spelling mistake. And I'll just create a query. In the query, when a user is signing up, we have to create an insert query. So I'll say insert into TBL. The name of the table is what? TBL students. So I'll say insert into TBL students. Which fields I want to fill? I want to fill the name, password, age, contact, address, other information. So let me give name, password, age, address. I also have the contact, and I have other information. I have to give the values of these fields as well. To give the values, the name should be a string, so you have to give a single quote over here. Then you have to say $name, single quote close. Password will also be a string, so you'll give single quote, password, single quote close, comma. Age has to be a number, so you can give directly age with no single quotes. Then you'll be having contact, so you'll say single quotes, contact, single quote close. Then you'll be having address, so you'll say address, single quote close. Then you'll have single quote open and other information, so you'll say other information, single quote close, and you have opened this bracket over here. You close the bracket. We'll complete the statement with semicolon. That is fine with us. And let's first echo this query out. So I'll say echo $query. Why should we not directly execute the query? Because we must first check if the query is actually working. If the query is working, then we can check that query and we can execute the query on the database. So what I'll do is I'll just refresh the page. Let me give the username as Ashwin, password as Ashwin. Let me give any age, give any contact, give any address, give any information, and say sign up. As you can see, when we signed up, we got insert into TBL students, name, password, age, contact, address, other information. The values were Ashwin, while the password was blank. Okay, so we have done some mistake in the code where we didn't get the password. We get the age properly. We didn't get the address. Okay, and we didn't get the contact information. We get the address and we get the other information. So let's see what are we missing out. That is why we first try to execute the query, or we first try to echo the query at the output so that we get the complete variables. We have to check for the password, why the password is not coming. We have to check for the contact, why the contact is not coming. Okay, let's see what have we done over here. If we can see, we have given the contact over here, but if we can observe carefully, at the top where we have the password, we have not kept $_post, we have kept $post. Similarly for contact, we haven't kept $_post, we had kept $post. These are the small mistakes that you must avoid, because $_ indicates that it is a PHP variable and you have to keep it as $_post. Now if we will again press enter to this, give the username as Pankaj, some password, give some age, give some contact, and give some address, say Dharampet, give some information, say reading books, and say sign up. We'll be able to get all the values for the current record. To check if the query is working fine, you can copy the query from here, go to the SQLite or the MySQL database and say SQL over here, paste the query inside this box and say go. If the query is successfully executed, this indicates that whatever operation that you wanted to perform has been done fine. Okay, so I'll just delete this record from here, and I'll now write the code to execute the query on the database. For that, we have to first include our MySQL library. I'll say include once. This indicates that you don't want to include the library twice, you only want to include it once. The name of the library is MySQL library.php. Then we will say, let me just check out what is the function name. It is MySQL start. I'll give MySQL start over here. Then we have to say execute query and the query to fire. So what we'll do is we'll say execute query and I will give over here the query. And in case whatever the output of the execute query is, we will say if execute query does not return -1, that is, if execute query is not equals to -1, then we can echo signed up successfully. Now you can log in. Okay. Else we can say echo cannot sign up. Please check the details. Okay. I'll just again refresh this form, or you can just press enter over here. Let me give the username as Pooja, password as some password. Let me give the age as some 28. Let me give some contact of the person. I'll give some address over here. Give some other information. Reading books. And click on sign up. If you can see, signed up successfully. Now you can log in. And if I can check on the database, we'll be having the record Pooja with the age, contact, address, and the other information inserted correctly. Let me give one more record over here with the age of the person, with the contact number. Let me give the address. Give other information as, let me say, sign up. If I'll check on the database, I'll be having the other record as well over here. Now the sign up functionality is completed. Let us now check for the login functionality. Over here I'll say if is set $_post btn login. This indicates if the person is able to log in. Then we'll be first taking all the information from the person. So I'll just take in the name and the password over here as well. And we'll check with the help of a query. Query equals to select star from TBL students where name equals to in single quote $name and password equals to in single quote password, single quote close, double quote close. This indicates that we will select all the records from the students where the name was name and the password was password. First of all, we will echo the query so that we can check out what is the output of it. I'll just refresh the page again. We'll just give the username as Pooja, password as Pooja, and say login. We'll get the query over here. We'll copy this query from here and paste it inside the SQL part of the database and say go. As you can see, it gives me one complete record with the username, password, age, contact, address, other information. What I can do is, if I just give any other thing and say login, it will give me some other query. Just copy this query from here, paste it to the SQL and say go. As you can see, it returned an empty result set, that is 0 rows. So I have to check if I am giving out the query, and if it is giving me no rows returned, then this indicates that the user is not registered with us and we are not logging him in. Else we will show the information of the user. For that, what we'll be doing is, we'll be again including the MySQL library and doing MySQL start, and we'll say result equals to search database. This was the function that searches the database, and we'll have the query with us, and we'll check if the size of result is double equal to 1 or is more than 0. This indicates that we are able to get at least one result from the database. If this is not the case, then we will say echo kindly sign up before logging in. Okay, and I can say cannot log in, comma, that will be fine. If we get the result at the output, what we'll be doing is we'll be getting all the results, or we'll be getting all the fields of the user with the help of the result. So what we'll be doing is inside the result we'll get the current record by saying result of 0. It will give me the current record of the result. From this current record I want the age, contact, address, other information. So I'll just copy these fields from here and paste them over here. And what I want from this is age should be $record in bracket, and the name of the age column is age. So I will give age over here. Contact is $record. It is contact. And address is $record address. Other information is $record. Just copy this big text from here, paste it over here. If I get all the information from the user, then I'll say echo successfully logged in. Your information is, I can do a br slash over here, so I'll get a new line. Then I'll say echo age is $age br slash. Just copy this thing up and paste it. For all the fields, I'll have contact is $contact. Then I have address is $address. I'll have other information as $other information. You can also get the ID of the user by saying $ID equals to $record of ID. You can also echo the ID over here. To echo the ID, I can just copy this thing and paste it over here and say your unique ID is $ID. I hope that makes sense to you. Let's now try to log in the user by pressing enter over here and giving the name as Pooja and Pooja. I'll say login. As you can see, successfully logged in. Your information is your unique ID, your age, your contact, your address, and the other information. If I will give Archana and say login, it will log in with the name Archana, the age, the contact, the address, and the other information. If I will give say Uday and say Uday, login, cannot log in, kindly sign up before logging in. So that this indicates that the information that we are passing over here is not proper, and we have to sign up the user first before logging in.